Good morning, and we are live. Today was one of those days where we had so much to talk about. We actually had to leave some stuff behind. It is amazing what is going on today. Uh, it- Before we get to the main story, we've got. Well, let's just dig into it. Well, everybody, this is Josh Eichhorn. Josh Eichhorn is a typical Republican douchebag. And just like every case scenario with a Republican, when they pretend to be, try to be smartasses or pretend to be, holier than thou, it always ends up biting them in the ass because all of that, the attacks that they always level, the gross, salacious, they call people pedophiles, they call people, you've seen it, you've dealt with it, you've talked to these people online. Every single time they pull some nonsense like this, it always ends up blowing up in their face. So old Josh Eichhorn thought it would just be really cute to put up a bill labeling anybody that opposes Trump as having Trump derangement syndrome, Trump derangement syndrome. Forgive me, I'm tongue-tied this morning. My mouth's a little dry. Hold on. I need a little coffee. I haven't had enough coffee this morning. But he thought it'd be really cute to label anybody that opposed Trump as having Trump derangement system and have it classified in the state of Minnesota as a mental illness. Yeah, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. He really did that. Unfortunately for him, the same day that he did that, he also did this. Yeah, that's just an Eichhorn. Grand Rapids man arrested for solicitation of a minor for prostitution. Unfortunately for old Justin and his sick, deranged proclivities, the person he was speaking to online wasn't actually a minor. It was a police detective. And when he showed up, and he showed up, when he showed up, he was arrested, taken into custody, and he's going to be charged. He's one of those sickos. He's one of those sickos that solicits minors for sex. And he's talking about mental illness. Well, you know what? I don't know who needs to be told this, but you know what a real mental illness is? Trying to have sex with kids. Yeah, that's a real mental illness. But, he thought he could be a smart ass. He thought he would get up there and he would, try to ridicule people for having Trump derangement syndrome. Well, we don't like you people for a reason, because you're disgusting, because you're gross, because you're nasty, because you're imbeciles, because you're fools, because you're clowns, because you keep trying to sleep with kids, because you keep attacking the LGBTQ plus community, but every single time there is a Republican convention or event, y'all use Grindr so damn much that it actually tends to crash. You attack the LGBTQ plus community so much, Yet every single time there's a Republican convention, the airports are chock full of male gay prostitutes flying to the convention. And let me be the first to tell you, I'm going to tell you, one, I've got no problem with prostitutes. I don't frequent prostitutes. I don't use prostitutes. I think it should be regulated, but I believe sex work is work. And I think that our laws regarding prostitution just make women victims. I do. I mean, if you don't morally agree with it, I don't really morally agree with it, but that's neither here nor there. It exists. It's existed since the beginning of time. It will exist no matter what you do. And the laws that we put on the books, all they do is make it so sickos like Justin Eichhorn can victimize women. And in this case, children. Our laws are stupid. It's the same with our drug laws. You know, I've dealt with firsthand, family members that have struggled with addiction. Do I like drugs? No, I don't. I really don't. But am I realistic in that it is just a product that people want to buy and will always want to buy and have always used since the beginning of time, since the first caveman found a plant they could chew that made them feel all right? Our drug laws are just designed to victimize people. It is. It doesn't do anything to prevent the tragedies that surround drug abuse and whatnot. It's just not. And I don't want to get off on too much of a tangent and get away too much from the fact that Justin Eichhorn is another Republican that is a frickin' sicko. V-Man, new contributor. Thank you for being here, my friend. If any are confused why so many Latinos back Trump, I give you this quote by a Puerto Rican lawyer. He who is not proud of his origins will never be worth anything, for he begins to despise himself. Interesting comment. Don't know how it fits in, but thank you for being here, my friend. Thank you for being here. Thanks for showing up, Marcia. Thanks for showing up. Thank you for always supporting the show. But yeah, that's how our day is starting. Old Justin Eichhorn, Republican, who is gonna make it a mental illness to oppose Trump. You got Trump derangement system. We're gonna get you some help for that. Ends up soliciting a minor, getting busted for it. And when I say busted for it, again, I really want to stress he showed up. He was arrested at the scene. He pulled up in his pickup truck, got out, thought he was meeting a minor for sex. I never apologize for hating Republicans. Never apologize for hating Republicans. I don't. Beginning of that wasn't all the humiliation that the Republicans suffered yesterday. Trump, our president, was humiliated before the entire world yesterday. The entire world was watching. The White House publicized that he was supposed to be having a phone call with Vladimir Putin, and they were going to take care of this whole Ukraine problem. And the entire world is watching what is going on because this has, the ability to spread into a massive land war across Europe. This is serious, folks. Janine, thank you for the support. I appreciate you. Yeah, TDS stands for Trump deranged supporters. I hear you, Jordan. I hear you. They are really out there. I feel you, brother. I feel you. Man from the West, I feel you. Teague Starbuck, assume every Republican who says queer people are pedophiles is one themselves. The accuracy is astounding. Yeah, assume when you hear a Republican and the word pedophile leaves their mouth, it's a confession that they're a pedophile. Silly Bee-Boo, he clearly never watched To Catch a Predator. That's exactly what, Chris Hansen, that's exactly what I was thinking about. That was his exact bus, folks. He pulled up. John Stone, first timer and proud to join the community. Glad you're here, my friend. Thank you for the support. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. And yes, Teresa, it is projection with Republicans all the time. All the time. And Vincent, a longtime supporter, glad you're here again today, my friend. I'm glad you're here. But I have to tell you, folks, that what happened yesterday, it just, I'm not humiliated because I don't associate myself or my country with Trump at all. I don't. I mean, I realize the rest of the world sees him as our president, but I just don't associate myself with Trump at all. I don't. So it wasn't humiliating to me. It was exactly what I expected to happen. So let's get into it. Let's get into it. Italy's in the house. Thank you, Lucky, for being here. Thank you. So what am I talking about? Again, Ukraine's a big freaking deal. It is. I mean, it has the potential to spill out into a land war in Europe. It already is a land war in Europe, but you know what I mean. Spread into a major. It could literally be the beginnings of World War III. It could, especially the way the Trump regime is behaving. They're really making it much more of a possible reality in everything they're doing because Trump's an imbecile. And I guess that's the theme for the show today is Trump and the people around him are imbeciles, just imbeciles. And this phone call, you've heard it. You heard it all during the campaign. I'm going to end Trump, the Ukraine war in a day. You heard it over and over again. All the smack he talked about, he was going to end the war in Ukraine. Nobody makes better deals. Okay? So he sits down with the Ukrainians. He comes up with a framework for a ceasefire. What's next? You sit down with the Russians again. That's the way diplomacy works. Usually you do it in one place so you don't end up humiliated like this. You have them both together, you know, like Jimmy Carter brought in Israel and Egypt to Camp David. You usually pull them together, but you know, these are morons that we're dealing with. I mean, they're not really good at this. So here we are. Trump is telling the entire world, going to get on the phone with Putin, and we're going to make this happen. Putin, in a phone call that everyone knew was going to happen, the entire world was watching. Putin took the opportunity to go to a meaningless interview. Now, folks, you have to understand, these calls are orchestrated tightly. Both sides. I mean, these are, you know, one's a complete freaking moron and one's a disgusting evil bastard, but they still do run two significantly important countries. Their time is valuable. They choreograph these calls very carefully. Their teams work together very carefully. It's not like both sides didn't know when this was supposed to happen and that the entire world would be watching. I mean, this is very, very tightly choreographed. Amy Emanuel, good to see you here. Look up Consul Floyd in Colony in 2005, Republican kingmaker arrested. Ah, cool. Email me about that, Amy. We'll take a look at it. Peter, thank you for supporting the show, my friend. Looking forward to supporting Isaiah Martin, your Texas 18th district. Amen, brother. Amen. We have got to take power back. We have to. Sherry Edwards, thank you for being here to support the show. And Carmen, absolutely, Neville Chamberlain to the max. I mean, it was disgusting. So let's get into what happened. Randy Oliver, longtime supporter, Thank you for always being here, my brother. It was kind of skewed towards Putin by his puppet. So instead of being there for the phone call, instead of being there for the phone call, Putin went and decided to go do a meaningless interview. I mean, he knew when that call was supposed to happen, and he just sat there and they laughed. They joked about Trump. The audience laughed while the entire world, you have to understand, every government around the world was monitoring what happened here. And Putin just sat there doing this interview for over an hour while Trump sat there like a good little boy waiting for his phone call. But I mean, it was worse than just sitting there waiting for over an hour. They were literally laughing at him. He was making jokes about Trump, just humiliating him. And he's laughing about, well, I wonder if Trump's going to see this. Yeah, the whole world saw it. And of course, that great deal maker, the deal that they were going to make, and everything was going to be huge. Yeah, nothing. In fact, Putin walked away with something. The world, Ukraine, America, nobody got anything, but Putin got something. The readouts from the call, we have the readouts from the call. Putin walked Trump through how Washington and Moscow are now going to have a reset, and they're going to get along great from now on. And globally, they're going to work together. But the phone call about Ukraine, Putin said, no. This is what's going to happen, Donald. This is what's going to happen. We're going to have 30 days where we'll agree not to attack their energy infrastructure, and they will agree not to attack ours. That's what we're willing to do. Of course they're willing to do that. Of course they're willing to do that. It serves their interest right now because Ukraine, all on its little lonesome, for the bargain price of about $40 million, I think it was $45 million total, developed this little fella right here. This is the Neptune cruise missile. It's called the Neptune because it was originally devised to be an anti-ship missile. But for the cost of about roughly $45 million, they were able to modify it. Oh, yeah, it is. It is. They did. I am thoroughly impressed by Ukraine all the time in what they've been able to do in this war. The drone warfare, everything. But this cruise missile, it was originally, like I said, it was an anti-ship missile that they modified into a cruise missile that well, it was always a cruise missile, but it wasn't a long-range cruise missile. You notice that it's got an additional solid rocket booster on the back now. That'll be the little canister in white you see back there. They've modified it to be launched from launchers, and I love to play the guessing game. Anybody want to guess what the range is now on a Neptune cruise missile? It was a couple hundred miles when it was first developed for anti-ship purposes, because you wouldn't lob a missile at a ship from a country away. You would be in the same body of water. It was originally a couple hundred miles. Can anybody guess what the range of the Neptune cruise missile is now? Just Joan. Governor Pritzker was asked what he'd say to Trump if he had the opportunity. He looked at the camera and said, "What does Putin have on you?" Yeah. Tell me about it. Yeah. Colleen, Sarah, there have been so many, many events that have just been humiliating. Alan Davis, my man, it's 1,000 kilometers. Correct. 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 1,000 kilometers, about 600 miles. This thing is accurate and is, more importantly, launched from a mobile platform. They can drive this thing right up to the Russian border and they can lob these things into Moscow anytime they choose. They built about 100 of them last year. This year, they'll probably build 10 times that. And they're doing it without us. They're doing it all on their own. I cannot tell you how impressed I am with Ukraine. I just floored. By now, most countries would be suffering from fatigue. And I assure you, they are in Ukraine. They are. They are suffering from some fatigue. But as a nation, no, they're in it to win it. They are not done by a damn sight. Not just the people, not just their ability to, they have changed warfare. In their adaptation to deal with the situation of facing, and for the lack of a better way to put it, an old school adversary that put everything into armor and jets and whatnot, they have really come up with just ground changing ways of changing warfare. The drones, the utilization and modernization of drones have been incredible, just incredible. I can't stress to you just how thoroughly in awe of Ukraine I am. I just admire them so damn much. Glenn Kaneko, those souped up cardboard drones are awesome. I'm telling you, man. I am telling you. Ukraine took drones that they're able to build. You know, if you buy a really good Chinese drone, it'll cost you about $1,000, $1,000 to $1,500. It will. For a weapon system, that's nothing. They're able to cheapen those to hundreds of dollars, increase their payload capacity, not just with the early drone like we saw where they just rigged them to drop grenades and then anti-tank grenades, and then no, they're packing explosives on these bad boys. They're turning them into drone missiles. It is amazing. It is amazing. Katie Carroll, good to see you. We really do. We've actually been worried about you. We have. I'm glad to see you here. I'm glad to see you here. 1 second. But yeah, and it's not just, I mean, I want you to think about that, folks. I really want you to just step back for a second. I want you to think about, we have a large European audience here. We do. We have a large European audience here. Just ask where people are from in the chat. They're sitting there. The entire world is sitting there. Iran, our enemies, China. Oh my God, China was monitoring this very closely. They saw the president of the United States not just made to sit and wait like he's some little punk, but they saw Vladimir Putin literally humiliate him before an audience that he knew was being televised. He knew the entire world would see, and then laugh at the notion that Trump is going to see this. Now, I want to ask you, really, what does that, the whole thing about Trump and MAGA is, oh, we're strong. Ooh, look at us. And Trump is always trying to portray that I'm tough and I make great, just think about what the entire world is looking at and thinking out. Man, here's strong today. Ukrainians are tough because they embody the spirit of their Cossack ancestors, tough as nails and not backing down from a fight. Yes, they have been incredibly impressive. Barbara, thanks for being here. Thanks for being here. Thank you. But I mean, really, I just, before we move on, I want you to just let that soak in for a second. What does that do with China? China's pushing hard in Central America, South America. You know, we're not separated by a hemisphere anymore. What does that do with, with our, there you go, from Australia. You got Lang from Australia. KS, thanks for the support. I really appreciate you. $50 is a lot of money, and I know it. Thank you for being here. That is very gracious of you. And Steve, you're absolutely right. China they're filling the voids we're leaving behind. And I want you to think, if you're Panama has been making deals. We talked about it before. They're building an entirely new electric grid, and they're doing it on Chinese, basically no interest loans. I mean, the interest is so low on these loans, you might as well call them no interest loans. Everybody watched that yesterday. If you're Panama and you got Donald Trump trying to flex on you, but China has your back, and people like Pooty Poot don't screw with China. What are you going to do going forward? Who are you going to make friends with? Whose policy are you going to support going forward? I tell you, folks, and I don't want to, we're going to move on from this in a minute, but I want to sum it up with this. We have had, and we do face a budgetary problem. We do. If we keep doing this for 10 years, we're done. We're just like the Soviet Union. You're talking about complete monetary collapse. Complete monetary collapse if we keep doing this for 10 more years. So we're facing tough cuts. We are. It just really is. We're facing a future where we're going to have to contract our military. We didn't have time for this. We really didn't. We didn't have time for the economic stupidity, and we sure as hell didn't have time to lose face throughout the entire world at a time when, just folks, even the Republicans will tell you, if you talk to them, if you get them in a room, we're going to become weaker over the next decade. We have to. If we don't, we collapse. We fall under the weight of 50 years of bad tax policy, sucking up to Johnny Got Rocks and the oligarchs. The broligarchs have bankrupted us because we have had to deal. Everything the Republicans have ever done for the last 50 years has been, we're like, okay, we've got to fix childhood cancer. Okay, I want in the bill a tax cut for my donor. The Republicans are just like, okay, you want to fight childhood cancer, you got to give us a tax cut for our donors. You want to rebuild bridges, you want to rebuild our infrastructure so that we can be a modern country. We can be like Europe is. I mean, with their rail systems and their power systems and you want to be modern? Oh, okay. Well, I need a tax cut for Johnny Got Rocks. That has been the Republican shtick on every negotiation. And when they would close down the government, I keep telling people, you've got to learn these two things are not the same. Us closing down the government doesn't have the effect that the Republicans do, because we care when people get hurt. They don't. For them, hurting people is a feature. It's not a bug. It's two different animals. They're willing to hurt people. They're willing to screw over your Social Security. They're willing to put old people out in the streets, anything to get those tax cuts for the broligarchs, and they're bankrupting us. We have consistently not taken in enough tax revenue. And it's not. They're gonna say, "Oh well, you gave it all to illegal aliens," or you wanted welfare, or none of those things add up to shit in the budget. Nothing, nothing. The number one thing that we spend money on that we can actually cut without putting grandma out in the street is the military. We spend more than, I believe the last count was 20, or 20, it was the next 27 countries combined. We spend more than they do on our military industrial complex. And 26 out of 27 of those are considered allies. So yeah, this has been coming, and it's here. It's here. It's a decade away. And when you're old like me, a decade's nothing. I mean, when you're young, yeah, you remember when you were young how slow time went? And then like you graduated from high school and then all of a sudden it was like hyperspeed. You graduated you walked a stage in high school, they handed you your diploma, you walked down the steps, this, that, and the other. And before you took the next step after walking down the stairs off the diploma, 10 years had passed and you were married and had a kid or two. 10 years is nothing. Pamela, thanks for being here. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. We didn't have time for this. That's the point of this whole spiel. We did not have time for this. And Peter, 100%, notice that Trump will insult just about anyone. He never insults Putin. Never. Putin just humiliated him. Watch what Trump says. And here's the thing, folks, that makes it even worse. And I promise you, I will land this plane right now. Last thing I'm going to say about this. Jordan, idiots that get hurt still believe the lie on trickle-down economics. I know. Now they're attacking Kinsey in economics. And we're going to talk about a moron that's leading that charge right now. Folks, what makes this even worse, there's no one in the White House that's telling Trump, you just got humiliated. What they're going to do is they're going to look at their feet and they're going to shuffle around, and nobody's going to talk about this. Nobody's going to talk about this. Not a single Trump advisor is going to walk in and tell him, you got to do something about this. Nobody. They will likely try to hide that information from him. If it doesn't make the mainstream media's prime time, Trump will never see that Putin sat there and ridiculed him and they laughed at him. They laughed about making him wait. That's what's so damn scary about this. Is that it's not just, we know what Trump is. We know he's a pitiful little moronic child. We do. We know what he is. But it's the people around him that are just as bad. And I tell you, we didn't have time for this. We did not have time for this. Caroline, sir, you're a who can't speak, a breath of fresh air and an intelligent conversation. Thank you for being here, my friend. New donor, new person. We're growing our community, folks. We are. There's 3,400 people in here right now. 3,400 people right now on what's considered a slow news day. America. There are no adults in the room with Trump. And you want to know how weak he is? Yeah, more like Tinkle Down economics. Amen. pissing on your back and telling you it's raining. You want to know how weak Trump is? This happened. This happened. Remember, we talked about Jeb Boasberg. We talked about the crisis that they created with by refusing to adhere to the judge's orders. Then they blinked, and now they're trying to argue what applied and didn't apply. And the judiciary is having none of it. Judge Boasberg's having none of it. So Trump had a hissy fit and called Judge Boasberg a hypocrite. And then he goes on Fox and says he was Obama appointed, which we pointed out to you when he was appointed as a superior court judge. He was actually appointed. He was brought into the system in D.C. by W. He was later promoted to a district judge by President Obama, but he was actually brought into D.C. by W. Trump here calls him a radical left lunatic and calls for his impeachment because he's not doing what Trump wants. He's standing up for the Constitution instead of just dictator Trump, dictator Donnie. Well, I told you, folks, we're going to have to wait and see. We're going to have to see what happens with the judiciary, because the strategy has been, the 2025 project has been, for all you new folks, I'm going to recap this real quick. The whole 2025 project was a rehash of what Nixon did. It's not new. It's not surprising. They're running nothing through the legislature. The legislature's passed nothing. Just a couple bills. That's it. They've done nothing. They're running none of this through the legislature. None of this is going through Congress. An entire branch of government, because we screwed up and took power away from Democrats in the last election. The Republicans have sidelined the legislature. They're doing nothing. The whole plan of the 2025 project was, again, to run everything through executive order, because opposing those takes time. We've been through this before. Nixon tried this. We've been through this before. The courts destroy it all. It never holds. For example, USAID, a judge just restored USAID. They did. Not only did they restore, another judge restore the contracts, another judge just ordered that USAID, we'll talk about this in the next show, but more in the next show. Another judge has just said, you've got to give the keys back to the employees and let them back in the building. Everything they do, everything that has been, I mean, folks, we've seen this before. The 2025 project, again, run everything through executive order because they have to sue you, and that takes time. And you can pretend to be strong and you can pretend to be inevitable. It's not working. It's falling apart. The judiciary has to date held. It has. Marie Crabtree, sad thing is, no matter how much Putin humiliates Trump, Trump will do whatever Putin wants. Amen. The readout from that call is, the rest of the call was Putin dictating to Trump how Washington is going to behave from now on. Spot on. But Chief Justice John Roberts did something he hasn't done. He doesn't do this. He put a statement out to the press, and he rebuked Trump and his calls for impeachment of Judge Boasberg. He laid out very clearly, if you oppose what Judge Boasberg says, there is a way the government operates. You file an appeal, and if your appeal has merits, that is how you remedy a decision from a judge. Impeachment is not how we remedy rulings that we don't like. That is unheard of. Those are the things that I have been waiting to see. Because, folks, what Trump has been pulling with the ending due process, these things cannot be allowed to stand. They just can't. We have no country if they're allowed to stand. These are the kind of signals that I've been wanting to get from the judiciary. And I will tell you, I'm not happy. I'm not content. I'm not feeling 100% okay, but this does make me feel better. It does make me feel as though the judiciary is actually going to stand up and we are going to have a country going forward. Sherry Foster, have you heard Donald Trump's 13% approval rating? I haven't heard that. I have not heard that. I know that his honeymoon was the shortest in history. It was the shortest in history. But yeah, folks, I get it. It's felt overwhelming. It's felt awful. It was designed to. It was a strategy put together to make that happen. But it's collapsing. It's collapsing all around. Everything Donald Trump touches dies. You want to know what Donald Trump's forceful retort to support his extrajudicial behavior was? He went on Fox News and he said, well, John Roberts didn't mention me by name. He didn't mention my name. No, he just told you can't do everything that you've been doing. And your behavior is unacceptable. But he didn't mention me by name. Trump is a weakling. He's stupid. He's surrounded by stupid people. This is what I told you, folks. Take heart in the fact that, yes, they're going to do terrible things. They are. We can't stop that. We can't. We screwed up in the last election. We did. I told you what Republicans were. Everybody told you what Republicans were. And there were people out there that aren't us. And again, I apologize for forgetting that we're talking to the stupids. It's not just us in here talking. There are people that didn't believe what we were saying. And they're getting proof firsthand. And yeah, a lot of it's going to suck. It was designed to make you feel as though you're helpless and there's nothing that we can do. They're not running it through the legislature so that they can push with their bots the narrative that Democrats are weak and Democrats aren't doing nothing. So just don't support them Democrats. We need a new party and we need a blah, 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 blah. It was designed that way. It was meant, it's an op. But it's fallen apart. Everything Trump touches dies. Trump is such a petty little bastard. He took over the Kennedy Center. And it's dying. It's dying. Since Trump took it over and appointed his sycophants there, ticket sales have fallen by more than half. And it's not just ticket sales. Donations have dried up. The actors, the performers are boycotting. They're pulling their shows. Everything Trump touches dies in humiliating fashion. You know, you had these Republicans that were so freaking arrogant. You had J.D. Vance that showed up at the Kennedy Center for a show thinking, oh, we're it now. We're mainstream. Look at us. Woo! We're at the Kennedy Center. And it dies. It's dying because they touched it. They touched it. And it's not just things like the Kennedy Center and the arts. We're heading into the 5th week of losses. I'm sure the Dow's picked up a little bit today. You don't get a consistent drop. The shorters got to make their money. So there's going to be a few days where the Dow picks back up, but none of the news has changed. None of the news has changed at all. Not about inflation, not about tariffs, none of it. All of the dynamics that were causing the Dow to plunge are still there. Still there. And even though they're doing things like this is Google, you know, when it's a losing chart, Google posts it in red. They're posting them in gray. And talk about everything Trump touches dies. Tesla again. for the last month, Tesla's trashed and will continue to be. They will continue to be. That brand is over. That brand is so freaking toxic. It's over. I can't believe anybody's buying a Tesla right now. There are still a few people out there going out and buying Teslas. I guess the truly galactically uninformed are buying Teslas, but yeah, it's over as a car company. They took a giant dump on their core customer base. It's over. They lost 11% in China. China, your average Chinese person doesn't even follow our news that much. It's just what's leaking over in social media. That brand is so toxic. They've lost market share in China, and China was critical to their valuation. Silly Bee-Boo, thanks for always being here, friend. Longtime supporter, longtime member of the community. Thank you for always being here. Trump's touch turns everything into pyrite and fool's gold. Yep. To quote Rick Wilson, everything Trump touches dies. And it's happening to Tesla. And by the way, Elon Musk leveraged Tesla stock to buy X. When Tesla goes, X goes. So Twitter will be back, owned by somebody else that's not a piece of crap, I hope. But it's happening, and there's nothing you need to do to stop it. But you know what? In walks Harold Lutnick. This is Trump's Commerce Secretary. Lutnick is the head. One second, got a little slow down here. Lutnick is the head of Cantor Fitzgerald. That was his gig for decades. He's run Cantor Fitzgerald. That's a really, really. I mean, it sounds like, I mean, if you think about it, and Cantor Fitzgerald investment bank. I mean, it sounds important, right? No, it's a freaking clown show. It is a freaking clown show. Lutnick does not like reality. Harold Lutnick is a guy that he's another Trump. He's another Elon Musk. He doesn't like reality. He's a used car salesman on Wall Street. He's and what I mean by that is it's always made up shtick. It's never based in reality. And they're driving this. I warned you folks. Much of what people use for a foundation to invest comes out of government figures, and they're just, Elon Musk and Harold Lutnick are just getting together saying, you know what? Well, if we don't like the figures, just change the figures. He's a clown. He's a joke. And if you want to know how much of a clown and a joke he is, the entire world is watching what's happening to Tesla. And they all agree it's Elon Musk. He's a fool. He's an idiot. He took a giant dump all over his own customer base. In a time, EV sales taken off. Year over year, EV sales have just been taking off. Tesla, in the toilet. I mean, it's like 74% in Germany or something like that they've lost. They've lost 12% in China. It's just the clueless among us that are out there buying Teslas, and not enough to keep the company afloat. Every major investment bank has cut. They're saying Tesla is a sell. The spot price that I think it was JP Morgan. You're going to have to fact check me on this one. I believe it was JP Morgan Chase cut Tesla's price to $120 a share. I mean, this isn't unknown information. This isn't secret information that people are basing this on. It's public. It's in your face. Ronnie, thanks for being here, my friend. I appreciate you. I really do. I really appreciate you being here. George D., my dad fought fascists in North Africa during World War II. Now we have one in the White House. I know. It's disgusting. It is disgusting. But you want to see in your face, out in the open, broad daylight corruption? While all that is going on, Lutnick's Cantor Fitzgerald, upgrades Musk's Tesla to a buy. Oh yeah, buy that shit. And they up the spot price. Everybody else has been slashing. I think Goldman has Tesla at like 220. I believe it's JP Morgan Chase has Tesla at 120. These clowns over at Cantor have Tesla at over 400 a share. Just in case you wanted to know if our Commerce Secretary was a freaking joke, now you know. Now you know. And when I say a joke, I mean a joke. See, when he took the job, he had to step down, right? Okay, he had to step down. But of course, corruption in your face. Howard Lutnick gives top Cantor Fitzgerald jobs to his sons Brandon and Kyle. Brandon's 27, Kyle's 28. He made Brandon, the kid on the left, the chief executive officer and the chairman of the board. And he made old Kyle the executive vice chair. Yeah. If your money's in his investment bank or you're invested through BGC Group or you're doing business with the Newmark Group, their real estate firm that's all under the umbrella of Cantor Fitzgerald, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. Now why would he do that? Why would he put these children in charge? Could you imagine for 1 second Goldman Sachs being headed by a 27-year-old? They're clowns. And they're running our government. They're clowns. But let's be fair. Let's be fair. Kyle has had some success. As the rapper KXTZ. I mean, I guess that's important when you're the vice chairman of the board of a investment bank. It's important to be a successful rapper. But to be fair, he has become more polished, hired better photographers, better album art. I mean, maybe, I don't know. Maybe you can take confidence in the fact that he is now running a Wall Street investment bank with his younger brother, Brandon. The world is watching, folks. The world is watching. And they're seeing this. And Lutnick has Trump's ear. They're setting monetary policy. They're setting just economic trade policy. And I told you, they're surrounded by frickin' morons. Last time I checked, Tesla was flat again today after Lutnick. Somebody will have to check to see more recently. That was at 10:55 a.m. about an hour ago when I was putting the show together. It was flat again today. I don't know if it's falling, but Trump selling Teslas from the White House lawn didn't help. Let's take a look. Let's see where Tesla is today. See if that moron Lutnick's boost. Oh, it's picked up 10 points today. Oh no, it's fallen again. Sorry. Picked up 10 points and now it's fallen again. Yeah. Folks, we can't do this. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know what we're going to do about it. But we can't do this. We don't have time. I mean, there are serious situations that we're dealing with, serious problems that we're dealing with, and we didn't have time for these clowns. We just didn't. And fuck your MAGA relatives and mine too for doing this. Those little stupid children. And we're stuck in the situation where we can't keep doing this. We don't have time. But J.D. Vance is worse. And you couldn't impeach Trump if you wanted to, because the Republicans have just closed down our legislature. They're not doing anything. We have to change as a nation. And I mean you, MAGA. We can't keep doing this. We can't keep getting humiliated like this. We don't have the time. There are serious problems that we have to deal with. On that note, this Friday, I've confirmed that Josh will be here for Friday's show. We're going to sit down and we're going to talk with Josh Wheel. He is one of the people running in the special elections in April. He's going to be here. His time is amazingly valuable. He's in the last 2 weeks. We're talking 2 weeks to the special elections. And he's going to give us some of his time. I can't tell you how grateful I am for that. Be here for that. It's going to be a great conversation. But yeah, this is the only way forward that I can see. Impeachment's not going to work. 25th Amendment's not going to work. And God forbid Trump drops dead from a cheeseburger. You know, he is an old man. That leaves us with J.D. Vance. We have to have Democrats in the House. We do. We have to have Democrats in the House. We have to have Democrats in the legislature. It's the only way we get hearings. It's the only way that we get investigations. It's the only way that we shut this shit down. You know, we got Susan Crawford up in Wisconsin and just banging away trying to keep control of the Supreme Court in Wisconsin to shut down those avenues that the Republicans have. You know, they go judge shopping down here in Texas. They got that jackass out in West Texas that will rubber stamp any lawsuit that they want to file. They've got avenues to push this stuff through the courts. We've got to do this, folks. I don't know. Somebody smarter than me. We'll go into the round table. We'll go into the round table with that question to you. Impeachment's not going to work. 25th Amendment's not going to work. And even if both of those could work, which they can't, Vance is worse. The only way forward that I see is we take back the legislature. We take back control of 1/3 of the government, of a co-equal branch of government, and make it function again. Does anybody else have any other way forward? Because I hear a lot of people, I do. While y'all are thinking about that, I'll just add this commentary. That's my question to you. Do any of you people, we're a big community full of smart people. Do any of you see another way forward other than us taking back the legislature between the special elections and the 2026 off year elections? Is there any other path forward? I know I beat this horse to death. I know I do. I know I do. But it's got to start local with your local legislature. It does. It just has to start with your local legislature, your local judges. Man, you've got to get involved with your county party. I don't care if it's just a couple of old folks. It's all that's left standing. Get in there. It's the only way we counter Johnny Got Rocks and his big donations is if we show up once a month and plan and strategize and get out there when it's election time, get involved. Put the signs out. You know those signs that are in people's yards? Most of those get delivered, folks. People request them, they get delivered. Very few people actually go pick them up. Do that. Deliver the signs to people. There's so many things that you can do to take us down that road. Nice, Gina. Nice. Nice. Good to see it happening. JT, I hear you. I hear what you're saying. I mean, it's a good notion, but who's going to arrest him? The only remedy for this is impeachment. And the Republicans aren't going to do that, and they control the legislature right now. So, I mean, I see a lot of people that God, I love your fire. I do. Bingo, Michelle. There you go. 100%. 100%. Great question. Great question. We're not at a point yet where we've seen a complete collapse of the system. We just haven't. They played chicken over this whole due process argument. And absolutely, Jordan, the only remedy is to get involved and not just vote, but to get other people to vote. And the pitch I would have for your MAGA people would be, look, the legislature's completely shut down. They're doing nothing. You got a guy that's pretending to be a king that's running the country by executive order and doing illegal shit, and he's losing, and the whole world is watching. At least, hey, vote Democrat this time. You can change your mind next time, but vote Democrat this time to at least have a working legislature. Somebody that will just keep the lights on and, that will keep this in the daylight. Some check and balance. You're not going to get much support from your MAGA relatives on that, but you may get one or two, and that's all we need. But there are several avenues. What they'll do is they'll hold them in contempt. They will fine the lawyers. They will fine the people in the administration. This will never make its way up to Trump. Somebody will fall on their sword, and they will insulate Trump from this conversation. Trump will always have deniability. So don't expect this battle in the judiciary ever to roll up to Trump. It will not happen. If it makes it to Homan, that will be amazing. They'll find them and they'll start jailing people. Is what they'll do. The same thing that happened to Steve Bannon. And what that does is that will crumble their base, because none of these morons can do anything themselves. They can't. They don't. There's an entire infrastructure underneath them of people that know how to file these suits, that know how to, again, they keep bringing this lady up that's running Doge. She's not running Doge. She was the head of the digital office that Obama established. They changed the name of it. This is a bureaucrat that knows how the government works. She's not running Doge. She's not. She's just the bureaucrat that they go to because they don't even know where the freaking addresses are. They're sending these kids to places. These kids don't know where to find these things. They're told by bureaucrats. And when they start getting held accountable and everything starts to fall apart. That's why this whole battle in the judiciary is so important. They used DC police the other day to move employees out of a building. And again, like I said, this isn't new. Nixon tried this. They rehashed it. It'll go through the courts. They will lose. And they will waste our time we did not have to waste. It's a free country so far. Yes, 10 million of you can march on the White House. No problem. The only problem is where I'm sitting, and Trump knows this, with the legislature the way it is, nobody's going to be able to legally do anything about it. Not yet. I mean, it's that serious, folks. That's why I got so damn mad about the distraction we had last week. Susan Hewitt, yes, it is. It is a fight for the soul of America, 100%. And I will tell you, this has been a silver lining right here. Gene Phillips. Other countries that were flirting with this right-wing nonsense aren't anymore. They're seeing what it leads to. And I will tell you this. There are dumb farmers out there that just are, that their identity is farmer than Republican, that are more than willing to go along. The latest idiocy is, let me find you a headline so you know I'm not just pulling this out of my butt. One second. One second. This will take me 1 second. There you go. New York Times. So you know I'm not just making this shit up. RFK's been saying this over and over and over again. What they're going to do now, and this is just horrifying scientists, epidemiologists, and even scientists that deal with agriculture are horrified by this. The new policy is going to be, you know how egg prices have been high because we're culling flocks. And you have to understand, a big egg producer or poultry, meat provider, they have isolated flocks. That farm may be, 15 different patches of land, and those flocks are separated. When one flock would get bird flu, they would cull the whole flock. They use a foam. They put all the birds in the in the building, and it's the most humane way to do it. And they have a foam that will kill the birds. And then you've seen foam expand before. They mix two chemicals together, and the foam just bubbles out, and it covers the birds, and then they all smother and die. It is the most humane way to mass kill these birds. Kennedy says, no more. We're not going to do that anymore. I'm brilliant. I know what to do here. We'll just let it run hog wild. We'll not cull any of these flocks because, that's making egg prices really high, and we want them sick-ass chickens laying eggs. It takes time to replace. The reason chicken prices haven't spiked as much as egg prices is meat chickens have been genetically, they've been bred and bred and bred and bred. They grow very quickly. And I've told people this before, and I've had people question it. Go look it up and learn that it is an actual fact. But the breed that we use for meat chickens, they will actually grow to be so big, so fast that their legs will break if you try to let them grow to adulthood. They'll break under their own weight. True story. Because they get big enough to be a broiler or a fryer or whatever very quickly. So when they have to cull one of those flocks, if it's a meat producer, they can replace those fairly quickly. But to get a reliable hen to lay eggs takes time. You cull one of those flocks, and it takes time to get that production back up. That's why egg prices are so high, and chicken hasn't really followed it. So actually, it's breeding. It's breeding. They just bred this particular breed, and you know what? I'll show you. I'll show it to you. We've got time. We're in the round table. One second. I'll show you exactly what they look like. One second. One second. Okay. This is a Cornish cross. It's one of the breeds that they just bred them and bred them and bred them. This chicken is only a few weeks old. They bred them that they bulk out so fast and so big that they will literally break their legs under their own weight if you let them grow to adulthood. So yeah, I mean that's why egg prices are much higher and chicken meat prices haven't really followed. So now get this. Robert Kennedy's brilliant idea is, well, not every bird in them flocks have been getting. I can't do the voice that RFK does. I can't mock that. So I'm just going to go into John Kennedy and his foghorn leghorn. Well, not every one of them, their birds is getting that bird flu. Some of them's immune to it. So we'll just let that bird flu run wild. And what we'll do is we'll take the ones that don't get it, we'll breed them chickens, and we'll try to come up with this bird flu immune breed. Okay. Everybody and what's worse is Brooke Rollins, who's the ag secretary, is all on board on this. The poultry producers, all of the scientists that support the poultry producers, veterinarians, epidemiologists, everybody said, no, this is a horrible idea. This is a horrible idea. And this is why. If you have a flock of 50,000 birds that has bird flu, it is going to be one flock in a farm that has 5 million birds. If you just let bird flu run wild, that's 5 million chances for that virus to mutate, which is what we are incredibly afraid of. It's already mutated where it's out of birds. And no, you can't contain it. You can't contain it to just chickens because wild birds catch it and then they go poop where chickens poop and it moves from flock to flock to flock to flock. That's why when they catch this, they run the birds into a chicken house and they cull them all right away. Boom, dead. You're gone because they know how it spreads. And they're going to give bird flu on every single major poultry farm. And yes, it is exactly. It's already mutated into it's mutated into some mammals. What it hasn't mutated into is a strain that spreads really easily among humans. But you know what? If you give it 5 million chances in every single flock, every single time, it will. It's just math. They're going to turn our massive agricultural industry into a petri dish for bird flu. That's what they're going to do. And everybody is screaming, please don't do this. Please don't do this. But Trump is tired of hearing about them egg prices. So this is exactly what they're going to do. RFK has given several interviews and said, this is what we need to do. Brooke Rollins, the head of the ag secretary, has said, this is what we're going to support going forward. Because it just seems to make sense. What RFK is saying just seems to make sense. We'll find a couple of them birds that are just immune to it, and we'll breed those. Meanwhile, the virus is going to be mutating and mutating and mutating and mutating, and you will never catch up. You cannot breed chickens as fast as viruses mutate if left unchecked. It's just math. So when I say they're surrounded by stupidity, they're surrounded by idiots. They have formed an entire government. Harold Lutnick, RFK, Brooke Rollins. You got Puppy Killer, Kristi Noem. All she's done since she's taken over Homeland Security is she flies around and does little Barbie doll cosplay. She was in um, um, a Coast Guard plane the other day, pretending she was a pilot. They're surrounded. They have filled our government with morons, and we didn't have time for this. We did not have time for this. One second, I got to put you on mute for 1 second because I got to holler at the next room and ask them. This is the new cup, by the way, and we did a modification. I didn't like the old hold the line cup, so we made a modification to it. This is the new hold the line cup. I like that much better. I like that much better. I like that much better. Everybody kept telling me that it was the feedback I got off of it was that it was too plain when it just said hold the line. When I put something together, I don't like it to be too busy. I don't. When I put something together, it's going to be pretty plain and straightforward message. But everybody said that was just too plain and too straightforward. So we found, did some looking and I found a fist to put on it. And I think that looks a lot better. What do you think? And yes, I am using my placeholder. Thank you. It sits on top of my coffee warmer. Y'all are too generous. I remember on the last show I told you about the wonderful couple that does the quilting. They sent me this placeholder and they sent me a shopping bag because I use reusable shopping bags. I mean, why not, right? I mean, hell, they're better than the plastic pieces of crap that you get in the store. But they sent me a beautiful shopping bag. Um, Very nice of you folks. You're so generous. I'm incredibly grateful. Now, this is a good one to talk about right here. This is one of the things that I've been cautioning you folks to do as you can. And I know everybody can't. I mean, folks, I've been broke in my life. I have. I know what broke feels like. So don't feel bad if you're there now. If you're on a budget and it's tight, I get it, man. So when I say something like this, it ain't to make you feel bad. It's not. I completely understand. But I got to tell you, if you can, if you got room in your budget, do this. Do it now. I've bought nitrile gloves. I've always bought nitrile gloves because I work on crap. So I buy the real thick 9mm ones, 9mm ones. Not 9mm and the 9mm gloves. But I also buy the 5mm for cheap, to carry around for cheap stuff. And then I buy the 7mm ones for when I'm not working on a car or something like that because they're less expensive. So yeah, I buy 3 different kinds of rubber gloves, and we have bought a stock. We bought you can buy them fairly cheap right now because there isn't a big rush for them. Buy them now. Just buy them, put them back in the closet, and forget they're there. So if you need them, you need them. Midas in the house. Good to see you, Midas Dwight. This is a story I get. This is an email I get a lot. That is something I get a lot. A lot of people are very afraid of that. Thank you, Peter Campbell. I appreciate you, my friend. But that sentiment is one that I hear a lot. I mean, people are very afraid of losing their Social Security and more afraid of losing their Social Security disability. Um, you know, that is a nightmare system. Our Social Security disability, it's not easy to do. It's not. It takes a lot of documentation, and these people have to work very hard to maintain their disability. And folks, they're all these people are supporting Johnny Got Rocks and the Broligarchs' fantasies about what they thought the government was. That's why they're not finding any of this magic waste. They claim they thought their tax money was all going to waste, and they can't find it. They think that Social Security disability is just a bunch of people that are lazy, want to sit on their ass. No, it's not. It's not. And there's a lot of people very afraid that they're going to screw that system up, and they've got a reason to be afraid. Hang in there, my friend. Hang in there. Hey, Andrew, let's do this, my friend. And this is and this is a round table. I want to hear your response to this. I want to hear what you think about what I'm about to say. At this point in time, it's our nature. When we see somebody we don't like or isn't standing up the way we think they should, or they've been too collegial with the other side, or it's normal for us to want to cancel that person, get them out. We need real fighters to believe in what we believe. I'm making a little different argument right now, Andrew. I'm saying we don't have time for perfection. We don't. I just don't think we do. I don't think we have time for perfect politics. I founded the Ride or Die Democrats uh, based on one notion that during the primaries, we'll fight our ass off. We will. Like right now, you got the mayor's race, and good God, I warned y'all. I warned y'all and warned y'all. But anyways, that's for another show. Um, we fight like hell in the primary. We do. But when the primary is over, even if we don't like the guy, we vote Democrat. And we vote. We show up. We show up and vote. Even if we don't like the guy. I'm saying let's stick to that principle. I don't think we've got a lot of time. You know what? I'm like you. I don't like what John Fetterman's doing. I don't. But he's not up for election for a good while. So I'm not going to waste my time focused on John Fetterman. I'm not. He's going to vote the way I want 98% of the time. Let's do that for a while. Screw it. Let's goose step, man. Until we get back in power. Let's just freaking goose step for a while. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think I'm wrong about that? I mean, we're a community full of smart people. If y'all think I'm reading that wrong or, but that's what I'm encouraging people to do. Y'all tell me. I mean, you understand what I'm saying, right? And thank you for your comment. I really do appreciate it. Catherine Ryan, thank you, Tex Paul, for holding the line and creating this incredible community. Perfection is the enemy of good. You know who taught me that more than anybody? I have so many things that I owe my wife. Discipline. She's taught me a lot of discipline. She is not a perfectionist. She is not. She is not. And we'll try to work on projects together and just end up fighting like you wouldn't believe, because I am freaking anal, man. When I design a cup, man, that thing's got to be, the line has to be, and I mean, it's got to be, and she'll tell me, nobody can see that. What are you obsessing over? It's just got to be. It's just got to be. She's not that way, and she's really taught me good is good enough sometimes. It really is. And that's what I'm preaching right now is let's put that infighting away for a while, and let's just get the legislature back. Then we'll talk about making it better. I don't know, folks. I mean it. It's a round table right now. We got a few minutes left. What do you think? Am I wrong? And this is the perfect example. Y'all never hear me say anything bad about J.B. Pritzker, right? Never. I am not on the J.B. Pritzker bus. You want to know why? He's a billionaire. He's a broligarch. He is. He's the Johnny Got Rocks that we haven't been taxing that are causing all these problems. But he's good enough. He's saying the right things and doing the right things, and that's good enough for me. That's good enough for me. Broligarchs, yeah. If you take a look at who's influencing politics on the right, it's a bunch of billionaire oligarchs. A bunch of old men that get together and they try to push through crap. I mean, they've been influencing tax policy forever. It's like an old man's club. Out of touch old white men. If I'm being completely honest, So I've nicknamed them the Broligarchs. Bingo. Bingo. Or as I like to call, you've got one faction of them I call the South African shit gibbons. Peter Thiel, David Sachs, and Elon Musk are the South African shit gibbons, by the way. All from South Africa, all come up through tech bros together. They're the PayPal mafia. Yeah, actually, he has no power. He's just a guy that they like to quote because he says the shit they want to hear. I don't want to build Curtis Yarvin up too much. I really don't. He's just a nut. But they love to quote him. He's really got no power. Nobody's doing what he says. They just wanted to do that, and he was willing to say it. So, Samina Fakeda, wow, big support. Thank you for being here. Thank you for always being here. Another longtime member of the community. Thank you, Paul. If we believe in democracy, we need to stand for those willing to serve the public, not serve themselves. I agree with you 100%. Thank you, Peter Campbell. Absolutely. Thanks for the generosity, and thanks for keeping the lights on. It's the only reason I can do this full time is you folks. Yeah, you're not going to see much of this in the mainstream media, but Tim Walz, he didn't quit. You haven't heard much. You haven't heard much out of Kamala Harris. You haven't. She's probably going to end up running for governor of California. But Tim Walz has been out there. He's stayed in the fight. He's been doing good work. He really has. I'll try to find some of his clips and put them in future shows. He's been out there keeping the troops motivated, making the good arguments. Well, look, folks, we're over an hour and a half now, and I appreciate you being here. I hope you like what I put together for you today. Thank you for being such an amazing community. I mean it. I will tell you, you're the only reason that I can keep doing this. Not just because of the generosity and the support and whatnot. It's being able to get together, read your comments. I know I'm not supposed to look down to the show. I'm supposed to look into the camera and I'm supposed to talk directly to you, but I can't help it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to look down. I read what you say. We are a community. This is a live show on purpose. I could do what a lot of people have done, folks. There's a lot of people out there that you may not know it. They're pre-taping their shows and then they run them as a video in a live format. That ain't me. I can prove it. I interact with your comments because what you have to say is important. You are good people. You recharge my batteries, folks. I do this live for a reason. This is not a small argument. This is true. Kamala's probably afraid for her well-being. They're swatting judges. They've had bomb threats called in to judges. They're really attacking the judiciary. Anybody that will not just not see along with Trump, these MAGA trash bags are attacking them. They are. They really are. Right now as we speak. Gordie Howe. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate all of our Canadian friends that are here. And y'all up in Canada, you keep goddamn Pierre out of power. I don't care what you got to do. I don't care how you got to volunteer. I don't care how you have to get involved. Y'all keep Pierre out of power. Hey, welcome. We're growing this community. We are. Just found your channel. So thankful I did. From a fellow Texan, thank you for holding the line. Amen. So very glad you're here. Report of armed man outside the CIA building. Well, let's go check that out, folks. Let's go see what the news says. enjoy some Texas cities at night.